Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our Let's Build an App podcast. My name is Roland, and it's so nice to see you again. So first off, full disclosure, even though this is being live streamed right now, and I appreciate you joining the live stream, I've actually pre-recorded this a couple hours earlier than the live stream. And I'll tell you the reason why. I don't know if you know, I probably don't, but I'm a big football fan. In fact, specifically the Canadian football. And tonight, Thursday, my team, the BC Lions, is playing. So, and it happens to be at the same time as our live stream. So I'm going to be, I've recorded this a few hours before the live stream, and I'll play this during the live stream. But at that time, I'll be watching the game. So just to let you know. But if you are on the live stream and you do have any comments or questions during the live stream, please post them on the chat. And I will be keeping one eye on the chat while I'm watching the football game. So if you have anything that you wanted to ask, please feel free to do so. I'll still be online. I'm just going to be watching the game. So what you're watching here is pre-recorded. If you're watching this after the live stream, then if you have any comments, please just post them on the comments as a video comment, and we'll get back to you on that. All right, so thanks again for joining us today. So I wanted to do a quick recap, I guess, on where we are so far. So what have we done? We've built a simple iOS game, and what we have so far is we have the ability to display a plane on the screen, so an airplane. Just a quick background, if you're joining us for the first time, we're building a game where you, the player, are an air traffic controller. So your job is to guide a plane from its origin to the destination. Now, some of the planes would be just passing across your airspace. There is one airport in your airspace, so some of the planes might want to land at the airport. Some of the planes might be taking off from the airport, and then you'll need to guide them to their destination. Our destinations would be just beacons on the screen. So we would have a beacon on the left edge, a beacon on the right edge, and a beacon. I think that's how we started off with. So they may come in on the left beacon and may want to get to the airport, then you need to guide them there. They might be taking off from the airport, then you need to guide them to their destination, say it's the right beacon. So all the while, you need to make sure that none of the planes collide, because if they collide, then that's game over. Every plane that you successfully guide to their destination, you get 1 point. And the way you guide a plane is that you tap on a plane, and once you tap on a plane, then you can draw using your finger a path for the plane to follow. And once you've done that, then the plane will start following your path. Okay, so that's basically what we've done so far. So let's give me 1 second here. I'm going to switch screens. Then I could share my screen, and then you could see that. Okay. Let me bring my screen up. All right, so you should be able to see my screen, and then let me put up myself. All right, so you can see me on the corner there. All right, so let's run what we had at the end of last week. Okay, so then you can see how it works. So we start off with easy, medium, difficult. So you can choose one of 3 difficulties. Let's choose easy. So last week, this is how we ended up with. We had these beacons. They look kind of, I mean, not that nice. I mean, it's just labeled A for the airport, left for the left beacon, R for the right beacon. And we have this button here on the top right, spawn. So we can spawn a plane, and you can see it appeared from the right beacon, and now it's going off. Now, we don't know where this plane wants to go, but if we look at the debug statements here, we can see that the destination is beacon left. So I can click on that plane, and then I could give it a path, say this way, and then it'll go to that path and go to that beacon. All right, we can spawn a new plane. This one here, again, wants to go to beacon left, so let's draw a path for it to follow that way. Okay, so let's spawn one more. Okay, this one, again, goes to beacon left. So let's make it go that way. Okay, this one is from the airport, and it wants to go to the airport, so we can send it back. Let's spawn another one. So this one is from the beacon left. It wants to go to the airport. So let's crash a plane so that you can see how it goes. All right, so these 2 planes are going to crash. So the moment they crash, then that's it. The game is over because you failed as an air traffic controller. This should never happen. All right, so that's how far we've got. So this week, what we're going to do is we're going to show you a number of things. So This is where we ended up last week. So what we're going to do is we're going to add different colored beacons. So instead of having the labels A, B, C, whatever we had, A, L, R, we'll use colors instead. This was one of your suggestions from one of the earlier weeks. Can't remember who it was now, but someone suggested we use colors so we can color code them. So that was a great idea. So we've color coded the beacons, and then when when the plane comes up, we can color the plane as well. So the color of the plane should match the color of the destination beacon. So when a plane appears, let's say it's blue, then we know that it needs to go to the blue beacon. Okay, so here we've added the different colored beacons. Then here we've added the, I guess the plane colors as well, and we use that to determine the destination. All right. And then this week, we're also going to show you easy, medium, hard. We've hooked it up so that they would have different plane speeds. So easy would be a slower plane, medium would be a medium speed, hard would be a faster plane speed. So you have less time to react. Okay. This week, we've also added, and we'll demo this in a bit, a beacon alert functionality. So as you can see here, when we were running it, let's run it again. When we spawn a plane, it just appears, right? It just appears. It would be good to know, give a little bit of a warning that a plane is about to appear at A or a plane is about to appear at L. So in case, let's say I had a plane that was heading towards L, and then we know that a new plane is going to be spawned at L, like imminently, then we have a chance to move our plane away so that the new plane from L can come out before we redirect our plane to L, right? So you can see here that planes from the airport go up north. So let's say if I'm heading towards the airport, and then we get some indication that a plane is about to come out, then we could redirect this plane so it doesn't crash. Okay, so that's what that is. Okay, so a beacon alert functionality. And then the last thing we've added this week is an auto spawn timer. So rather than the user hitting spawn here, this button, we want the game itself to automatically spawn the planes, maybe in some sort of random fashion. Okay, to make it a bit more realistic. So we don't control when the planes come in, but we'll get a little bit of a warning because of the early warning that we've added here, the beacon alert. All right. So that's what we'll do this week. I think we're nearing the end of this game too, because after we add all this, the game is fairly playable. And for those of you who have joined the beta program, where as a beta tester, where you can download this onto your iOS device, you've been able to play it as well. So and if you've been doing that, give us feedback. I'd love to hear from you if you have any thoughts on how we could potentially improve the game. All right, so this is this week. I think next week, so let me give you a bit of a heads up. Next week, we're going to make the graphics look nicer. As you can see, the graphics here are pretty rudimentary. I've mentioned to most of you that I am not a designer, but we can still make it look a bit nicer than this. So it's a little bit more engaging. So we'll do that. Yeah, so and then we'll submit it to the App Store. Hopefully it passes all of Apple's guidelines, and then it'll be available. So that's what we'll do the following week. All right, so this week we'll get to here. Actually, next week, I should tell you now, next week, we won't have a live stream. We'll have it the following Thursday. All right. Okay, so without further ado, let's take a look at these. So let's take a look at this one here. So we'll do a git checkout 3416. Oh, by the way, again, if you're new or joining us recently, you can all have access to the source code. So I'll post it up later, the source code, the link to the source code. And also, if you want to join the beta testing, I'll give you instructions on how to do that too. Okay, so here we've added different colored beacons. So what do we do here? So let's stop this and I'll show you. The first thing here is that, see the beacons here? Now they're all different colored, right? So instead of having just one blue beacon with a label on it, we're just going to have the beacons as different colors. So I've added that here into the assets file. And then if we look at this beacon node class, this initializer or the constructor now takes in one parameter called the beacon name. Okay, and based on the beacon name, we're going to use that to call this method atlas name. So let's jump to that. And what atlas name does, atlas name for the beacon name, is given the beacon name, it'll return the name of the assets here. So beacon dash blue, beacon dash cyan. So depending on what name you've passed in, we will this method will return you the corresponding name of the asset catalog. Okay, then we use that asset catalog, the atlas name, and then we take out all the images, and that's how we build the texture for this beacon. All right, so that's how we've that's basically what we've done. So let's run this and let's see how it looks. All right, so now you can see the beacons. This one here is this mustard yellow color. This is a blue color, and this is a cyan color. So everything else still works. We still just have a white plane, but now the beacons, and it needs to go back to the airport. So let's send it back to the airport. But the beacons now look nice, or nicer anyway. Okay, so that was that. Let's jump to this next one. Now we're changing the colors of the planes as well. And now we're also using the colors of the plane to determine its destination. So let's take a look at that. Okay, check out 74 F294F. All right. So if we look at our asset catalog again, now we have these images for the airplanes that are now different colors, matching the colors of the beacons, right? So red is for when it crashes, black is when we need to draw its path. And then the rest are matching the beacons. And then what else do we do? Let's take a look here. So now in the initializer for the plane node, so this is the plane node. In the initializer, we've added one parameter. And the parameter is the destination, basically the beacon name for the destination that this plane is going to. So again, we have a helper method here called planeNode.imageName. And basically, given the destination, we return the name of the image in the asset catalog that we want to use for this plane. So if this was heading towards the blue beacon, then we want the image for this plane to be airplane blue. Okay, so let's take a look at where we spawn the planes. So when we spawn a new plane, okay, so this is the game board view controller. It calls the game scene spawn new plane method. So let's jump to that. So here, this was from before. So we randomly get two beacons, so an origin beacon and a destination beacon. The destination could be the same as the origin, so it could take off from the airport and then want to come back to the airport, for example. So then once we've done that, then we take the destination beacon and we pass that as a parameter, the name of that beacon, to the plane node. So now when this plane node is created, it'll be the same color as the destination beacon. All right, so we've added that, and let's run this and let's take a look at how it works. Okay, so let's go with easy. So we still have these same colors. And now let's spawn a new plane. So now you see this plane is no longer white. It's cyan. So I immediately know visually that it's supposed to go to this beacon here on the right. So let's just draw a path for that. Let's spawn a new plane. Okay, this one is yellow. Oh, we're going to crash here. So I better move him away. And then let's have him go to his destination from the top here. Let's give him a long way around, but it'll be a safe path. Okay, let's spawn a new plane. Okay, again, this one is cyan, so let's use the bottom path to get there. Spawn a new plane. This one needs to go back, so let's just send it back that way. Again, this is cyan. So it's playable. It may not be the most exciting game so far, but it is playable. Ooh, we're getting a lot of cyan planes coming out of the mustard beacon. Oh, here's one, so we could send it that way. All right. So yeah, so it's fairly playable. Our random is doesn't seem to be too random right now, does it? Oh, okay, it's gonna crash. All right. Okay, so that's the end of the game. Okay, but it's much nicer now because we don't need to look at the debug statements here anymore with this destination beacon left. We can just see what's the color of the plane, and we know where the plane's supposed to go. Okay, so we've added that here. Now here, let's jump to this one. Git checkout 1091 ACD. All right, what we've done here is we've now hooked up the difficulty. So let's take a look at. So remember here, the player, the user can tap easy, medium, or hard, and it all three goes to the game board. But now we want to change the difficulty of the game board depending on which button they chose. So that's this scene here belongs to the welcome view controller. And there's three actions here. One is for the easy button tap. The other one is a medium button tap. The third is the difficult button tap. So you can see here we're setting the speed to either speed 1, speed 3, or speed 5, depending on whether it's easy, medium, or hard. And then when we navigate to the game board here, the game board view controller, then we set the speed of that view controller to this default speed. So it's either speed 1, speed 3, or speed 5, depending on the level of difficulty selected. Okay, and I think in this, I might not have put it in the commit here, but I think I made one more change here. Oh yes, I also added here the score. So we can start keeping score now. So initially we have a score property here. Initially it's 0. And then what we want to do is whenever this score gets set, then so this did set will be called. We want to update the scoreboard. Okay. So where do we update this? We update this here. If you recall from one of the previous lessons, this method did collide will be called. This one in particular is called when two planes have collided, plane A and plane B. This one is called when a plane has collided with a beacon. Okay, so what we do here is we check to see the plane and the beacon that collided with each other, do their destinations match? Okay, so if the plane's destination is equal to the beacon's name, then we know that this plane is intended to get to that beacon. So then what we've been doing before is we're just removing that plane, but now we're also going to increment the score. So we're adding 1 to the score. Okay, so let's run this and see how that works. All right, let's go easy. Okay, so let's spawn a plane. So this one is blue. Let's take it back to the airport. So it's really slow now because I guess we set this as speed 1. So this is an easy beginner level. Okay. So we just got to wait till it gets to the correct beacon. Guess what's doing that? We can spawn another one. Oh, same thing. All right, so now you see the score updated to 1. And then when this guy reaches his beacon, then it gets updated to 2. All right, so now we've got a scoreboard going. Okay. So 3. Let's send him back. Okay, 4, great. Okay, let's test out medium. So that was easy, right? So medium, you can see the plane's a little bit faster now, right? So we've got planes that are coming faster. Oh, I spawned too fast here, so it collided. And then let's take a look at difficult. So these planes should be super fast. So you don't really have much time to react here. All right. Whoa. Okay. Phew. That was close. Oh, this guy needs to move out of the way. Let's send him this way. Send him down, spawn. Oh, Okay. You see, that's why we need the early warning. See, I spawned here, and it came out right away. So in one of the next commits that we'll show in a bit, we want to see some sort of early warning indication here so that we know that a plane's about to come out. So here it just came out, so then it just collided right away. Okay, but the speed works. The easy, medium, hard, different speeds work. And the different colored planes work well too. Okay, so now this next commit, we're going to add the beacon alert. So let's get to that. So I really encourage you, if you can, download the code and take a look at it, see how it works. If you have Xcode and a Mac, you can actually run it. And then you can see how you can play around with the code. If you don't have a Mac or Xcode, well, Xcode you can download for free. So if you have a Mac, it should be fine. But if you don't have a Mac, then still take a look at the source code. It'd be interesting for you to understand the mechanics behind this. If you have an iOS device, join the beta testing group that we have. I'll give you the details in a bit. Then you can download this and install it onto your phone or iPad. And you can play with it. And then, yeah, give us thoughts and feedback on what you think could work better. Okay, so let's... Where are we now? Git checkout 9C7. Okay, so we should be on this. So add beacon alert functionality. Okay, so let's take a look at this. There's a number of changes here. So the first thing we did was that I added a whole bunch of other images for a beacon. So we have beacon blue here. It pulsates with this white halo around it. You can't really see too well here, but you can see it on the game board, right? And then a blue alert, that halo turns red. So now it's a pulsating red halo. So that's our indication that a plane is about to come out of this beacon. Okay, the same with cyan, orange, purple, yellow. So we've added all that. Now we need to update beacon nodes so that it knows when to show the normal beacon image and the alert beacon image. And the way I've done that is by adding this new property, is on alert. So the default value is false. So when it first starts up, is on alert is false. So it's showing the white halo. But if it's set to on, then it should show the red halo. Okay, so what do we do here in the did set? The first thing is we remove all action. So remember the animation of the halo, we added that as an action, right? As an animation action. So whenever this beacon is on, it's always animating, whether it's animating the normal white halo or the alert red halo. So if we're changing the value of is on alert, we want to stop the previous animation first, and then we're going to put in a new animation. Okay, so what animation are we putting in? So animation frames is set to, so we're checking is on alert. So this is a ternary operator. So those of you who have taken Game of Apps, you understand what this is. If you haven't, you can look it up. We have one of the videos in our channel talking about ternary operator. So if you want to know how that works, take a look at that video, and I explain that to you in more detail. But here's a ternary operator. Depending on whether is on alert is true or false, we're going to use either the beacon alert animation frames or the beacon animation frames. So these are the frames for an alert beacon, and this is for a normal beacon. All right, so those are the animation frames. And then we're also setting the key. The name of the key is dependent on whether is on alert is true or false. If it's true, then actually, see, this is actually backwards here. But in this case, it doesn't really matter. So if this is true, the name here should be alert, and then this one should be the normal one. But in this case, so it is a bug, I didn't find the bug because it didn't have any way to manifest itself at this point. But by going through this code right now, I just found a bug. Okay, so that's actually something good too. When you're coding, like for me, it happens all the time. I put in a bug and I don't see it, but if someone else comes and reviews this code, they may see this right away. And so that's why when I'm working in a team, we review each other's code. That's called a code review or a code inspection. Okay, so then based on that, that's what we animate with. We animate the animation frames. So if is on alert is true, then the animation frames that we're using is the alert animation. And if it's false, then we're using the non-alert or the normal animations. Okay, so that's the beacon node here. Now, when do we set this? So let's take a look at, remember before, oh yeah, no, we still do this. We would spawn a new plane, right? So what we did before when we spawned a new plane is that it would spawn it right away and it would return, and it would return the plane view model object. Okay. Now in this case, we can't return that right away because when this is called, the first thing it needs to do is it needs to animate the beacon to show the alert. And then after the animation is completed, then we want the new plane to be spawned. At that point, only at that point do we have the plane object that we can return to the caller. So prior to this, in the previous build, we just spawned the plane and returned that object right away. But now we can't do that, right? So now we have to do this asynchronously. So asynchronous programming is a little bit more advanced than an entry level. And so I won't explain it too much here, but just so you understand what's happening. When this method is called, it'll need to set the origin beacon to alert. So it sets the is on alert to true. Then after that, this code here waits from now. So the current time, it adds 3 seconds. So basically what it's saying, I want you to execute this block of code in 3 seconds. Okay, so don't execute this now. So right now, all I want you to do is change the origin beacon to alert. Once you've done that, then we want to schedule this code to be executed 3 seconds from now. Okay, then after that, this method returns right away. Okay, it needs to return, it can't block, because if it doesn't return, then your UI will freeze, right? So we're returning right away, and then the UI still keeps animating. Then 3 seconds later, this will be triggered. So the system knows, it keeps that timer. The iOS system knows, and then 3 seconds later, it'll trigger, and then it'll execute this code. And this code here, one of the first thing it does is sets the origin beacon is on alert to false. So we don't want it to be animating red anymore. We want it to go back to animating white. And only at this point do we spawn the new plane. All right. So hopefully that makes sense. There's a number of other constructs here. We're taking in a parameter, the default speed, and this second parameter is called completion, and it's actually a function. Okay, so again, this is more advanced programming, but suffice it to say, what this means is that the caller calls spawn new plane, says create a new plane. This will be the plane's speed. And I know you can't create it right away, but once you finish creating it, call this function that I am passing you. And then when you call that function, give me the plane view model object at that time. Okay, because I know that the moment I call you and you return, you won't have that plane view model yet. So at some later point, when you have created that plane view model, you can call my function and return that at that point. Okay, so that's what this construct means. It's a bit advanced. I don't expect all of you to understand it fully, but if you want to know more, please post a comment and a question in the comments, and we'll try to help you out that way. All right, so basically, we've changed spawn new plane from a synchronous to an asynchronous method. And what it does is it immediately turns the beacon, the origin beacon, to alert. And then it schedules some code to be executed 3 seconds later. 3 seconds later, this code is executed. It resets the beacon back to non-alert. And then at that point, it spawns the plane. And then that plane is then returned in the plane view model. All right. One other thing we do here, we also guard is paused, check to make sure that the game has not been paused. If the game has been paused, then there's no point in executing this code, because we don't want to be spawning a new plane while the game is paused. In particular, we don't want to be scheduling something to happen 3 seconds later while the game is paused. Because if the game is paused, the user expects nothing to be happening. But if if the game is paused and then somehow behind the scenes 3 seconds later it spawns a new plane, that doesn't make sense, right? So we check that here, but you notice we also check that in here. So this is executed the moment spawn new plane is called, but this code here is executed 3 seconds later. So 3 seconds later, it checks again to see if the game is paused, because it's very possible that when spawn new plane is called, the game hasn't been paused yet, because remember, this is asynchronous, right? So spawn new plane is called, we schedule something to occur 3 seconds later. But before the 3 seconds occurs, the game is paused. Okay, at that point, you've already scheduled this, so it's going to happen 3 seconds later. So 3 seconds later, it comes back. So it should check again to see if the game is paused, because at that point, if the game is paused, then instead of spawning a new plane, we just want to return with nil. So we don't want to spawn a new plane. I found another bug here. You see, as I'm looking through my code, I just find another bug. The bug here is that in case that this happens, where the game is paused after spawn new plane is called, but before the beacon alert time has elapsed. So this works correctly where it doesn't spawn a new plane, but it does not change the beacon alert to false. So because of that, then this beacon will still be flashing red, and it'll keep flashing red. It won't, because we haven't set it back to is on alert equals false. So what should happen is this code should actually be before here. We want to reset origin beacon to false regardless whether the game is paused or not. Okay, the only thing we're guarding against is to actually spawn the plane. Okay, so this check here should happen before the spawn plane, but it should happen after this, because we always want the beacon to be reset to white when this timer has elapsed. All right, because if we don't do that, then it'll stay flashing red. Okay, all right, so that's a bug there. Okay, so let's see how that works. Okay, so a very long explanation because we're getting a bit more complicated now. But let's see how this works. Oh, I've changed the color here too, I guess. So let's take a look at easy. Okay, so we're going to spawn a new plane, and you'll see now the yellow is flashing red, and then the plane comes out. Okay, so let's spawn another plane. Now blue is flashing red, animating red, and then the plane comes out. All right, so we're spawning another. So now cyan is flashing red, and blue comes out. So for example, if this plane were heading that way, and this plane were heading this way, and this plane were heading that way. So if I spawn a new one, so you see now it's telling me there's a new plane coming out here. So I just barely missed that plane. Okay, let's spawn another one. Okay, so it's going to be coming out of there. Let's spawn again. Okay, so it's coming out here, so it's going to crash. All right, so we see that we've given it gave us some early warning, and then since I didn't do anything, I could have moved my plane away, or I should have. So then that makes it better. You know, as before we release this, we probably should be tweaking some of these things. So maybe 3 seconds is a little bit too short. I don't know. You tell me if you're if you can download, if you've downloaded this, if you have downloaded this onto your phone or iPad, and you play around with it, you can tell me whether this time should be updated or not. Okay, the last thing I want to show you then is this add auto spawn timer. Actually, let's just go to demo 05. That's the last. All right. So we are now here. So we've added the auto spawn timer. So if you recall, that's so we don't need to hit the spawn button anymore. Okay, so where does that happen? That happens. So we used to have a spawn button here. So we don't have that button anymore. So where did we do that? So what I've added here is in these two methods, view did appear and view will disappear. So these two are kind of mirrors of each other. View did appear will be called whenever my view appears on the screen. So, and then view will disappear will be called whenever my view is about to disappear. So when does a view appear and disappear in iOS? It appears when you've just navigated to that screen, or if you've let's say navigated away from the app. Let's say your phone rang and then you answered your phone, then your phone app will come to the foreground, and then your app will go to the background. At that point, view will disappear will be called, because now your view is no longer on screen. Then after you've ended your call, the system will bring back the previous app. Then view did appear will be called again. Okay, so then at that point, so we want to start spawning when the view has appeared. So when the view is on screen. When the view is not on screen, we want to stop spawning. Okay, so what is start and stop spawning? What do they do? Let's take a look here. So start spawning, basically what we're doing is we want to randomly spawn a plane. Okay, so we have a min spawn time and a max spawn time. So we're choosing a random number between those two, the minimum time between spawns and the maximum time between spawns. So we'll generate a random number between those two numbers, and then we'll create a timer. So this timer only executes once, so it does not repeat. And the interval for that timer is whatever random number we've generated here. And when that timer expires, we're going to do a debug statement, timer fired, and then we're going to spawn a new plane. Okay. And then after that, we're going to call itself again, start spawning. So this is a recursive call, but that's okay. What's happening here is that each time this is called, it'll schedule a timer. And then the timer only executes once. At the end of that timer, the timer is gone. Then we're going to start spawning. We're going to create another timer for the next time we're going to spawn. So this will keep spawning one after the other, because each time the timer expires, we schedule a new timer. The duration between timers is a random number between the min spawn and the max spawn time. And then each time this timer expires, we're going to spawn a new plane. All right. Now, what does stop spawning do? Stop spawning basically takes the spawn timer and then invalidates it. Basically, it stops the timer. So if there's a timer, there will always be a timer. If start spawning has been called, there will always be a timer that's outstanding. So stop spawning will invalidate that. So that means it'll cancel that timer. Since that timer is canceled, this code never gets triggered. Since this code never gets triggered, then the start spawning, the timer will never be rescheduled until someone else called start spawning. And that someone else is inside view did appear. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to you. And then stop game, when we call stop game, we're going to stop spawning and we're going to pause the game, the scene. All right, so let's see how that works. All right, so let's play easy. So now the button's gone, and we'll see. One of these should start spawning at any time. Okay, here we're spawning. Okay, so yellow just spawned a new plane, and it's cyan. Now blue is starting to spawn a plane. Oh, we better move it away. Oh, blue's spawning another plane. Okay, it crashed. All right, so I didn't get out of the way in time. So this new, but the blue did tell me, the blue beacon did tell me that a new plane is about to come out. But I didn't get out in time fast enough, so it crashed. All right. So that's what we have so far. So please try this out. Let me know how that works. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on what we can tweak here in terms of the game mechanics. I want to show you what we're going to build next week. So just give me 1 second here, and I'm going to rearrange my screen. All right, so next week, actually, before we do that, let me, actually, yeah. So next week, this is what we're gonna do. Let me bring up my iPad so you can see. All right, here's my iPad. So I'm not a designer, but I have started drawing out some planes, because the planes that we've been using look kind of, they look pretty basic. So I've just used the iPad and I've drawn this plane here. So you can see this this purple plane. So that's the plane that we're going to use. We'll add this in just to make the game look nicer. We're going to add, we've been imagining so far, corresponding with that plane is a beacon. So a purple beacon. So we've got different colored beacons, different colored planes. So we've got this color, we've got this color, and so forth. Okay, so far we've been imagining that there's a runway above the airport beacon. So we're now going to put an actual image of a runway. I just drew this by hand. So it'll be a little bit more, more immersive, I guess. I don't know if that's yeah. So that's what we're going to add next week. What I'd like to add too, not next week, 2 weeks from now, because I remember next week we're not going to have a lesson. We also want to add maybe a nice animation when a plane arrives, gets to it. Let's say a plane's destination is the airport beacon. So when a plane successfully reaches the airport beacon, it'd be nice to have some canned animation for the plane to land on the runway. Because remember what we said is that our job as the air traffic controller is just to guide that plane to the airport beacon. Once it gets there, the pilot takes over and the pilot lands the plane. So once we've guided a plane successfully to the airport beacon, then it'd be nice to have some sort of animation to show that the plane lands. Okay, so as I was telling you earlier, these are the 2 things. So here, let me play this so it's full screen. That's the GitHub where the code is available. So I'll be posting this code, pushing it out to GitHub shortly. By the time you watch the live stream, it should be available. And then if you want to join the beta testing, so you could download this app onto your iOS devices, even before it goes into the App Store. Please send me an email. This is my email here, roland@gameofapps.org. And I will add you to the team. All you need to do is you need to download an app called TestFlight. You can get that from the App Store. It's an Apple app, and TestFlight allows, it's basically for beta testing. So once you've downloaded TestFlight, I'll add your Apple ID to the list of Apple IDs that can beta test this app. Then whenever I push a new build out, then you'll get a notification and it'll allow you to download and install this app onto your iOS device. All right, so that's it for today. Yeah, hope you've been enjoying this. So I think based on what we have left remaining, probably I think we can do it all in one session. So it won't be next week. Next week there's no live stream, but the following Thursday we can do all that, and then it's probably ready to be submitted to the App Store. So yeah, you can follow me along to see how it goes with the submission to the App Store. Sometimes when you submit something to the App Store, Apple reviews it, of course. But sometimes something they see maybe they don't quite like, or maybe it's not following their guidelines that I don't know about, and then they'll reject it and let me know. And if that happens, we'll need to change the app and then resubmit. Okay, so that's what we have planned. So yeah, leave me a note in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. If you get a chance to play around with the app, I'd love to hear what sort of tweaks you think would be great. And yeah, so if there's nothing else, then let's call it a day. And have a good evening and enjoy the rest of your week. See you in 2 weeks' time. All right, bye-bye.